Howdy Youtubers, and welcome to this fifth part of episode 3, SteamPunk computer stand. Appreciate all the new subscribers, and hope you guys enjoy what you're seeing so far. By all means, if there's anything on your mind, leave it in the comment section below and let the world know what you think. Well, today we're going to take a look at how you set up for welding up moving parts. You know, stationary parts or parts that don't have any joints in them, or pretty straightforward. You slap them together, you put a little gaposis in there so that you get a good penetration on both sides of the work, and then you weld her up. Now, moving parts are a little bit different story. You have shrinkage and all kinds of crazy stuff to take into account. So today's little exercise is going to be just that, on how you set up for it. Now we're building the computer rest here, or the keyboard rest. And so what I've done is I've got my parts ready. This was that ring I showed you in the last segment. Now this is also kind of a gang milling application, where I cut the ring in half and then screwed it together. There's holes in it, so I run some screws through it and then held it together, stuck it in the vise, and then ground the curves here on this end right here. Bring it in a little closer, ground this part right here, and then of course even it up on this part. And so now the mount for the keyboard itself is right in here. I've sandwiched that in as to get the thickness. And so what I've also done is I've stuck a piece of copper in here. This is just a 1/2 millimeter thick piece of copper to allow for shrinkage, so that way when I go to put this thing together, I have enough room in between these two tongues. No, I mean, it really doesn't matter on this application because I've got enough distance between the weld and the actual mount to where that won't become an issue. The spring tension of the mount here will compensate for that. But with the swivel, I've done something similar. Let's see if we can get this in here. I've stuck a little 1/2 millimeter thick washer in between. This is the swivel, and these are the two. This is going to go together like this in a half moon shape, so that way the keyboard then can pivot on this end of the thing. So in order for this to be able to swivel, I've got to leave a little bit of room, to account for the shrinkage. If I stick it on there just this way without the washer in there, it might turn, but then it might be so tight that it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. So I decided to go ahead and just stick a washer in there, so that way that avoids any complications down the road as far as being able to reassemble the thing once it's welded. As my experience has shown that when I've done stuff like this, just depending on how the weld shrinks when it cools, it may pinch, it may spread. It's really hard to tell just right at the moment. And so what's going to happen here later on, it's going to get a wing nut. So that way, and here you're going to get wing nuts for to be able to fix stop or hold the keyboard in place. So let me get this welded up, and I'll show you guys how it's going to turn out when it's done, and then also how this thing is going to behave once it has been welded up, and whether or not there was shrinkage or if there was expansion. So let me get this thing all geared up here, and I'll bring you guys back when that's done. So got that all welded up. It's still smoking. It's still pretty hot. So let's check and see how this is going to behave itself. Okay, the movement is pretty stiff, so we did get some shrinkage, and that's with the loose bolt. So it was definitely not a bad idea to insert this washer, and it's only going to shrink up more when the weld is completely cool. It's getting stiffer and stiffer. So let's pull the screw out. There we go. Now we can pop this off of here. And stick the bolt back in. And we have, it'll be a little sloppy, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing in this instance. So let's take out our, oops, gotta get a wrench here. There we go. Got my fat head there. Proof's in the pudding here. Whether or not this is going to be the block that the keyboard rest attaches to. And as you can see, I got to force it out, so that also shrank. So now when I stick this back in here, it's got, you can't really see that, it's got less than 1/2 millimeter of play in there. So now to drill this for the keyboard, it's going to be in there like this. The keyboard will mount across here like so. And keep on trucking. Bring you guys back when I got that done. Oh, and I did buy a new set of Forstner bits because the carriage bolts that I have need to be recessed just slightly into the board as to avoid the keyboard teetering on the rest itself. So I'll demo those for you in a separate product review, and bring you back when I get the keyboard mounted. Alrighty, well, we're going to do another little layout trick here. I'm going to use these transfer punches here. These are the ones from Wrenchsteig. I did a product review on that. Here I've got my oak board for the keyboard rest, and now I'm going to, here's the mount that goes in the swivel. And so this bevel here is going to be towards the front, towards the operator, so that way this bottom edge doesn't gouge you in the leg or in the lap or whatever. And so now we've got to transfer the holes. So I'm going to lay this out here. Got my center line marked out, but in order to make sure that we're square to the world here, I'm going to line this up here with the square and insert the transfer punch. Then you got a little castle nut on the top here that you got to spread it with, and then give them a tap. And the same thing for the other hole. Doesn't take much in wood. So there's our divots. We'll reinforce them with the center punch here, being so I don't have an awl. So now I can take the Forstner bits here and drill in the relief hole for the castle nut, or for the carriage bolt. Let's sweep this off a little bit and raise him up. So we're only going to go in about 1/4 of an inch. Just going by eyeball here. See what feels good. Alrighty. Well, let's see if we can get that in the shot here. There we go. Now, before I go tearing this apart, this is the welded up bottom half of the monitor swivel. I've got these bolts here. These are all thread bolts, 8 millimeters, i.e. 5/16, that were spaced evenly here. I gang milled a bunch of these triangular pieces here. Gang milled them and drilled them. It's pretty much the same process of what you saw in the for the feet, except for the drilling. I just TIG welded this on. It's still smoking, so it's still pretty toasty warm. But as you can see down in here, there's the threaded hole in the base, and so later on I've got a little thin half nut that I can use as a jam nut when I thread this all the way through. So here's the bottom half. Now these are going to get from this bar here, 2 arms each side, and then there's a matching piece to go for that mounts on the back of the monitor to adjust for elevation. So here we are making the little extension arms. One of the things I wanted to highlight to you is the problem you have with gang milling and gang drilling on work pieces. My stack is going to have to be drilled from the side down, so I've got all these little guys stacked up. Now if they were going in like this, the vise jaw would hold them fairly tight and there wouldn't be any problem. Now, no matter how good a material you have and how good a vise you have, you're going to always have a little bit of a problem when you clamp these up that one of these guys is going to want to slip out. So what you can do is take an elastic piece of material. Some guys use copper. In this case we're going to use wood here just to clamp this up and keep them all in place. Then we're going to pull a parallel out and pre-drill these arms. Here comes the parallel. And now we're clamped, and now all of our work pieces are in there solid. So now we can just position this however we want. We're going to go in this case right about here. Gotta have a higher speed. Also, reposition this drill bit here. It must have got in the chuck kind of cattywampus. There we go. Trying to break away here, so I'm going to have to reinsert the parallel, but then no, that's not going to work. Way to go there, dumbass. Okay, what should have happened here is the parallel gets pushed back and forth, so that way the bottom piece doesn't squirt out from underneath. Just perfectly in line where they need to be. Now I'm going to drill these out a little bigger and come back when that's done. Well, YouTubers, here we go. Got a finished product here, ready for a computer and some paint. Take a close-up gander here. Here's the keyboard rest, oiled oak. The mouse pad, of course the arms aren't extended all the way. Here's the pad for the machine itself, a little mouse hole in the back for the cables to come through. Still got to put the copper sleeve on. And here's the mount for the monitor. This is quite a handy little device here. Let's see. So then this way it stays nice and perpendicular or vertical, no matter which way you want it. And then you can change the elevation, and of course spin it around, spin it like ever you want it. So there we go. Well, hope you guys enjoyed watching this thing come together. Sorry about the lost footage, and by all means share your thoughts and wishes in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next go round.